Hey, I'm the York Myke, Roll Right Radio, and we're going to talk about Daytona. We're going to talk about Bike Week. We're going to talk about, well, that specifically, but just riding across the country and faraway places in general. So today is February 20th. Bike Week starts March 5th. It goes from March 5th to March 14th. Bike Week is just, this is the 80th anniversary, by the way, of Bike Week in Daytona. It's a big deal. Bike Week in Daytona started 80 years ago, and it was all about the races. And the races in Daytona used to race around the streets all the way down to the beach, right along the water and back around, called the Daytona 200. It's a couple of weeks after the Daytona 500, and it's the first race of the racing season that lasts all the way from March all the way through the summer and into the fall. So what happened was a culture of motorcyclists grew up riding to Daytona, being in Daytona. It used to be the first week of March, now it's the second week. Although, wait a minute, March 5th, we're back to the first week. I guess it came back because the Daytona 5, it's got to be 2 weeks after the Daytona 500. Has something to do with the timing of the Super Bowl and all that stuff. Look, that's beyond me. I just know that the date this year is March 5th. So I'm leaving. I think I've been going to Daytona for, I don't know how many years. I remember in the 70s, the 80s when I lived in New York. It was 900 miles from New York City to Daytona. It's kind of easy. I move out here, it's like almost 3,000 miles. It's a different trip. Those 900 miles, it was kind of cold because you'd leave the last week in February, the week coming up. And then, you know, the first day, you'd have to wait for it to get over 40 degrees. Because if you left when it was like almost 40 degrees at night, or, you know, night in New York at this time of year is 3:30, 4 in the afternoon, you're on the Jersey Turnpike, you're getting ready to go over the Memorial Bridge to Delaware, and all of a sudden, black ice. That's ice that's on the freeway that you can't see because it looks just like pavement. It looks like freeway. It's not white ice that you can identify. So you go, you slip and slide. You don't want to do that. So you want to make sure the weather's good enough. So the first warm day, first day over 40, boom, we get on the road about 11, 12 o'clock and get down to that Delaware Memorial Bridge. That was the goal. If we can get over that bridge, we'd be great. We're somewhere in Maryland. Got a lot of stories about that. But I want to talk about going to Daytona from California, because that's where I've been for the last 30-something years. Getting ready to go to Daytona, getting ready to get on the road. You think about, you know, the route you're going to take. And, of course, everybody knows this last week, they had a huge freeze throughout the whole state of Texas. Pretty bad. So if I was leaving now, I don't know how I'd go, because anything north of the 10, whether it's the 20, which goes through Texas, the 40, which goes north, it was just too cold. The weather's too, it's not even iffy. It's bad. You know it's bad. But luckily for me, leaving next week, which I'll be leaving on March 1st, leaving next week, I expect the weather through Texas to be in the 60s and 70s. Now that's the height during the day. It'll get down below low 40s, maybe below 40 at night. So my route's going to be the route that I normally take. I'll leave San Diego on the 8, take the 8 through the Laguna Hills, go to Yuma, Arizona, and then pick up the 10 by then. But the 10, you pick it up before you get to Tucson. So you're going through Arizona, New Mexico, into Texas, El Paso, and there's a split after El Paso, about 150 miles past El Paso. The road splits. You take the 20, goes up to Dallas. The 10 goes through San Antonio. So you want to stay on that 10 and go straight across. And that's the route. You take that 10 all the way to Jacksonville, get to Jacksonville, 95 down about 90 miles, and you're in Daytona. So the route is pretty direct and boring, okay? I've been doing this for years and years. There used to be restaurants I used to stop out and stop out in places like Van Horn, Texas, and you know, just different places, different towns. And over the years, some of them closed up and went away. COVID changed a lot of stuff. Chewy's in Van Horn. I was there recently, and it used to be a place we'd stop at all the time, and it seems like not having any business and being closed for all that time, Chewy's just isn't there. I'll check it out when I get there. But different places like that. So route-wise, and again, going through New Orleans, because you're going to pass through New Orleans right by it. If I passed through New Orleans during Mardi Gras, I'd always stop and spend a day or so on Mardi Gras. Now, Mardi Gras is over now, but we're going to go right through it. And then Biloxi, Mississippi. Biloxi, Mississippi, right on that route. I used to be stationed down there. So kind of cool. I got a special place in my heart for Biloxi. Love to stop in, spend the night. It's a cool town. A little bit of gambling going on, a little bit of other things. And then like that. Always loved Mobile, Alabama, and then you cross over into Florida, and it's just some cool things on the way. As a Harley dealer for 27 years, I always like to stop at different Harley dealerships who I became friendly with over the years, and that was kind of cool. So I want to talk about, how do you get ready? I mean, obviously you want to get your bike ready. That makes total, that's a no-brainer. You want to have it all tuned up and ready to go. You want to have the oil change. You want to check your tires, make sure you got everything you need, your brakes, and all that. It's just common sense. What's a little bit tricky is what you wear. So I want to talk about that a little bit. I know that weather changes. So I like a light leather jacket when I'm in Daytona. This is kind of light. It's got decent venting and it's not too heavy. But leather is important. It blocks the wind. It looks good. It feels good. It does a lot of good things. So when I'm in Daytona, I'd like to have this jacket. It's kind of cool. But riding to Daytona, I found out a few years back, Harley made a jacket. This is about 10 years ago at least. It's totally weatherproof. This thing is waterproof, weatherproof. I mean, it's warm as toast. It's got everything. May not be the most motorcycle fashion statement, but man, it works, okay? And when it gets a little bit warm, you got the best venting is the vents in the armpits. Trust me, this is the best. And this jacket has it all. So I know that Harley makes some great jackets for bad weather, good weather. The jacket that Harley makes, and this is Rolling Thunder. I want to talk about that. Rolling Thunder, which is now Rolling to Remember. Rolling Thunder still exists. It's going to exist state to state. It's not going to have an appearance in Washington, D.C. at the demonstration ride which it created. But the AMVETs have taken over that responsibility, and they have Rolling to Remember. And we want to make that big. That's where the Run for the Wall is now going to meet up with Rolling to Remember. So I want to talk about this jacket. This is the newest edition of the FXRG jacket. The FXRG jacket is an all-weather, all-purpose, all-the-time, waterproof. I mean, it's got it all. It's got venting, and the venting is decent. I haven't worn this one yet. I just got it. But, I would have liked to have seen some underarm venting, but it's a pretty well-constructed jacket. It's real comfortable. It comes with a lot of, this protection stuff. I'm not in there. I'm not on the road. I'm not racing around the track. I'm not doing things. A lot of people like a lot of protection. I think this gives you, the leather gives you plenty of protection against road rash and other things. So that's how I feel. That's a personal thing. But when it comes to a good jacket, and I'm only going to take one leather jacket, the debate in my head is, do I take that real light leather jacket and I've got the heavy one to wear over it? Do I just take this leather jacket by itself, this FXRG? Totally awesome, waterproof and everything. Is it stylish? I don't know. It's kind of stylish if you like that style. I'm not used to it. But I'm going to take one of these two leather jackets with that big heavy jacket. Then you got to look at gloves. I love waterproof everything, okay? I think it's important. I don't want to have to just, pull over on the side of the road when it starts to rain and get out my wet weather gear. But that's why I love the leathers like the FXRGs that are totally waterproof. But the gloves, the only waterproof gloves I find are the big heavy ones. And sometimes it starts to rain when it's 55, 60 degrees. I don't want to wear these big heavy gloves. So that's a problem, that's an issue, and I haven't been able to solve that yet. I wish, I've been screaming at them for years, make a light, medium weight waterproof glove. I haven't found one. If you could find one, I suggest it. They make tons of waterproof boots right now, and they're great. I've been wearing them for a few years. So get some waterproof boots. If you can get an FXRG jacket or some other waterproof jacket to go over it or wear it, that'd be great. If you need to have rain gear and you want to keep it separate, and that's a valid thing, I get it. That's fine. But make sure you're ready for all the weather that you're going to have and just have a great ride. It's a great place to be. Of course, I'm going there this year mostly to promote riding to the wall on Memorial Day. I'm going to do that every opportunity I can. I'm going to try to speak at any VFW and American Legion places that I pass. If I get a chance to talk to some of the clubs, I know the booze fighters have invited me to speak, so I'll find out where they're hanging out. You'll find that when you get to Bike Week Daytona or Bike Week in Sturgis or any place else, different clubs, different organizations usually congregate in places where you can find a lot of them. 50, 60, 150, these clubs and groups all come together. I don't think Daytona this year is going to be as big. Usually I'd estimate 500,000 is about the medium. But I do expect around 200,000 to be there, and I think that's significant. So I just wanted to put this out there just to give you a sense of what I do before I get on the road. Of course, like I said, the bike's all set up. I still haven't figured that out. Hotel-wise and accommodations, just so you know, I don't want to be looking for a hotel at 5 in the afternoon. But I'm not going to get a hotel a day before. I don't know just how far I'm going to ride. I usually get on my cell phone. Boy, in the old days you couldn't do this, but this is what we do now. I get on the cell phone between 1 and 2 o'clock. By 1:30, 2 o'clock, I've got to get a good sense of where I'm going to end up, how far I'm going to be able to get, and what town is 200 miles ahead of me. So hopefully I've got 300 to 400 miles under my belt by 2 in the afternoon. I want to do another couple of 100 miles. If there's a reason to make some time, the weather's really, really nice, maybe I'll ride a little later, but I'll make that determination. Accommodations in Daytona, a little trickier. I'm leaving on the 1st, and I expect to be there by the 5th. But you never know. So if I make a reservation to start on the 5th, and hotels are a little more expensive in Daytona, so I'm not going to be paying the average $100 a night. I'm going to be paying between $2 and whatever, I don't know. I called up the Hilton downtown Daytona. They're over $400 for a room. I don't get it. But, they filled up because they don't have a lot of rooms left. But I don't want to commit to something that I'm just not sure. So I'll get a sense of what 1 or 2 or 3 hotels I could stay in. And then a couple of days before, just when I get into Florida and before I get to Tallahassee, I'll have a really better feel if it's going to be a 2-day ride from wherever it is, and I'll be able to 2 days in advance. Also, it depends on cancellation policies. So if you're riding to Daytona, you're thinking about it, those are the things that I think about. Every other place is the same thing, just apply the same principles in different routes and locations. Hope I see you there. Enjoy the road. Hope you're on a Harley or whatever you're on 2 wheels. have a great time. I'm New York Mike. Just keep it rolling right.